Cool. Tuesday, the 22nd of June. It's been it's been a while. I think it's been a week. What's happened? Been burnt out. Wrote a blog. Chilled. Did nothing all of last week. I saw a lot of friends. In fact, it's about it. I slept a lot. Yeah, I slept a lot. That's about it. But yeah, for real though, mental health isn't actually talked about quite a lot as a founder or a business owner. You know what, it probably is, and I've just not searched it. I'm not gonna lie. To be honest, if you've read my blog on chiefofvibes.com, shameless self-promo, last week I experienced somewhat of a traumatic event that has led me to rejigging the way how I work, rejigging the way how I even approach doing my work days and what sort of workload I have. I've been reading quite a bit since then. I've read quite a few books that just happen to have touched on the topic of burnout and things of that nature. At the moment, I am currently reading Happy Sexy Millionaire by Steve Bartlett. I still need to finish. It's like I'm on the last 20 pages. It's coming. Yesterday I started The One Thing by Gary Keller, which is somewhere on screen. The One Thing's brilliant because it's highlighted a very, very big flaw that I have had for a while. To take it back a bit, Love Circular, it's been a full year it's been over a full year of doing this as my primary job and my primary source of income to live. And in doing that, I've seen the business go from, say, three people and maybe, 30 students to now being a community of 140, I don't want to get it wrong, 142 people. Yeah. So as you can imagine, that's quite some scale in, the past 12 months. Now, for me, my job has always been to do whatever needs to be done to problem solve at a high level, and up until recent at a low level. But as you can imagine, in scaling to that size, the company's had to have grown internal operations and internal systems, and that's put us in a position where now I'm managing a internal team of about, I think, 11 people, if I'm correct. Some of these people are part-time and some are full-time. Now, when it was just me and, the three people that were involved, 3 or 4 people that were involved this time last year, everything was much more manageable. And it was, I wouldn't say it was easy, but it was like, cool, I can get on. You just know what needs doing, and you know that it's something you can get around to, and it doesn't really overwhelm you with any stress really, or the stresses that occurred were at a smaller scale. Now, I've not had any formal training in being a manager or being a business owner. I don't think you can really get formal training in being a business owner other than by doing. But you learn a lot about yourself. I figured out that I was spending a lot of time multitasking. Now, our company has marketing, our company has operations, sales, and course. They're like our 4 main teams / departments. I oversee all of them, of course. Now, for me, it's funny because this time last year I understood all of those things, even when it was at a smaller scale, and now I understand all of those things but at a much larger scale. I'm in a position where I know pretty much most of the little finer details of what's going on throughout the company. Now, as you can imagine, when it's just you and 3 other people, it's much more manageable to have that sort of oversight and be cognizant of all the finer cogs and details that allow this machine to work. But at this scale, I found myself in a position where I'd be, going about my day, and I'll be thinking about something to do with one specific team, and I'll figure out all the problems, and I'll have all of that oversight. And I kept finding myself in a loop where it was addictive to kind of solve those problems. But as you can imagine, I have to delegate what I can over to the right people. Occasionally, I was solving some of these problems and I was involving myself in bits and bobs throughout the whole company. Now, this has left me spread thin. You know, when it's at a smaller scale, it's kind of easier and you think, yeah, I could do that, it's not a problem. But when it's at a much larger scale, you find yourself being in a position where the moment you do go up, like say to course and start solving problems with course, if you're aware of like 5 other problems that can be solved somewhere else, your subconscious is still thinking about that while you're focused on that. For me, that kind of happened. And then I found myself working, 12, 13-hour days consistently, sometimes leaving the office at 4 a.m. and then coming back in, before 9 or say 10 o'clock, doing it all over again. Doing this, I put myself in a position where I weren't eating as well as I probably could. I weren't sleeping as well as I could. And just in general, I weren't taking care of myself. And I was doing this at least 6 days a week, 5-6 days a week without fail. But that's mainly because I'm just passionate about what we do. Now, being passionate about what we do comes at a cost, of course, because as of last week, Monday, I found myself in a position where I was very, very overwhelmed and exhausted. I didn't see it coming, to be fair. It felt like my body just went, like the Windows, what's the word? The Windows, I think it's like Windows 98 or Windows XP shutdown sound, like cue that video. Yeah, that sound. That pretty much happened to myself, and I felt myself very burnt out in hospital at like 3 a.m. Waiting on blood tests to come back to confirm whether there was some underlying issues or what. Turns out everything came back clear and I'm well, from a health standpoint, physical health standpoint, but from a mental health standpoint, it's a journey and I feel a little bit more fragile than I usually do. But that's okay. It's not a linear path to growth. I've learned in that experience that I should take care of myself more. In working those long hours, I've found myself not actually doing much outside of work, so my life will literally just be work, solving problem after problem after problem. While fun, the body just needs rest. The body needs other things. For me, I don't think I can ever go back to being so focused on work because it's not fun. Burning out is not fun, and I wouldn't recommend it. I wrote a piece which talks about some of the things that I'm going to be doing to move forward and improve myself and improve my workload and how I manage said issues, even if they are, departmental, and how I can keep in control of these things. A big factor to that is being able to just trust the team to get things done. Relinquishing control. I'm not saying I'm a control freak or anything, but relinquishing control over something that you've had such oversight of and you enjoy having that oversight is really difficult to me. And I've known this day was gonna come, but I didn't think it would come like this. But yeah, now I've got to relinquish more control. I've got to understand and appreciate the fact that, we've got some amazing people that can take care of the smaller things. And even if they can't get it right or get it the way I'd like it first time, it's more about the learning process in helping them learn how I may want certain things to be carried out and being able to support them. The more I can do that, the more I can actually work on just one thing. Yeah, like I've now approached my days. Instead of doing a lot of bits throughout the company, my approach to working is I will only go to work to do one major task. That task has to be within a specific department or team. So for today, my major task is working on the new course that we're developing, which is a UX UI portfolio course. It's a course that's going to help people learn how to, build their portfolio. They're going to learn how to brand themselves properly, and they're going to learn some insights as to how to, bypass certain gatekeepers when it comes to landing interviews, when it comes to trying to find decision makers to speak to get the interviews, or just improve your overall image to get clients. Now, that is my only task today. Aside from this video was impromptu. I didn't really plan to do this, but the camera was on and I find solace in speaking to it, I guess.